Good morning, my friends. My name is Lama Jigme. I'm the non-sectarian monk, teacher, healer, yogi, and tantrika. I'm the one that teaches both the teachings of Lao Tzu and Buddha. I'm the one that unifies or teaches the union of Sutra and Tantra, of Theravada and Mahayana, and other long, incomprehensible polysyllabic words which are winning answers in Scrabble. Today I received an email from a gal in Bhutan. She explained to me that last night she experienced troubling dreams. She asked me that if as Lama, I believed in dreams. That's a very good question, and I'm going to answer it in a ridiculously roundabout fashion. Not because I'm some greasy politician striving to cover his tuchus, but because this is an excellent teaching opportunity. We typically banty the word belief, and we banty the word faith without understanding what it is or what its repercussions are. So let's explore that right now. There are two components to belief or faith. A forebrain, intellectual component, and a midbrain, emotional component. Okay, so now we know which areas of our mind and heart are influenced by belief or faith, but we still haven't figured out what it is. Come, let us explore even deeper. One of the things I love about Buddhism when it is taught properly is that it requires no faith. Buddha taught impermanence, and impermanence need no crusty dogma to prove its point. Impermanence is taught by nature every day. When we see the changing of the seasons, we observe the impermanence of the year. When we see the waxing and the waning of the moon, we see the impermanence of a month. When we see the rising and the setting of the sun, we see the impermanence of a day. Even now, you can rest your hands upon your upper chest. You could feel it swell. You could feel it sink. And so you could observe the impermanence of a breath. And that is why in the second set of lesson texts I teach the recitation, ever-changing one and all, there is nothing permanent to grasp. All around the world, men and women, adults and children, observe impermanence every day. But something in us is shocked by impermanence. I am 48 years old. I've seen the seasons change 48 times, and it still surprises me every time. I've seen gloomy days turn sunny, and then I've seen sunny days turn gloomy. And that change shocks me every time. I've seen relationships come, and I've seen relationships go. Men, there is 2 days in every relationship you cannot miss. The day when in your woman's eyes you can do no wrong, and the day in your woman's eyes when you can do no right. Change is constant, but we all, on some level, some visceral level, find it troubling. There is a truth that we live in an interdependent universe, that we affect the universe around us, and that the universe affects us as well. That effect can sometimes be overt and sometimes subtle, sometimes immediate, and sometimes it takes a while. It can be direct, it can be indirect. A bastardization of that truth is that we can affect the world around us, the universe around us, without the universe around us or the world around us affecting us. No, that's not what Buddha taught. That is not what physics taught. And if your metaphysics teach that, it is not grounded in reality. My friends, our metaphysics can be grounded in desire and denial, or our metaphysics can be predicated upon taking action and noticing the results. If the latter governs the construction of our own personal metaphysics, then it could be argued that our metaphysics are empirical. If it doesn't, then our metaphysics are irrational and potentially destructive. Now, I'm not talking about the hereafter. That reminds me of a wonderful movie, not a wonderful movie, a craptacular movie, but with 2 good movie stars, in which a man says to his wife, if you believe in the hereafter, then you know what I'm hereafter. And then they promised to proceed to frolic naked, and it was great fun for all. When I say faulty metaphysics is going to get you in trouble, I'm not talking about hell. I'm talking about the quality of our life right now. If we go through life determined to affect our body, our mind, our emotions, our circumstance, our planet, and our universe, and ignore the fact that interdependence goes both ways, we are going to set ourselves up for a great disappointment. Many people think or feel or suspect or hope that if they think something long enough, it'll change everything. Other people hope that if they feel something long enough, it'll change things. And some people think that if they both think and feel something long enough and hard enough, it will change things. Now, in an interdependent universe, can our thoughts have effects? Yes. Can our emotions have effects? Yes. But so do our choices and our actions and our decisions. But interdependence is a messy, messy thing. And just because you think of all the reasons why you will win the lottery tomorrow morning doesn't mean you will. Just because you feel all the pleasure of winning the lottery tomorrow morning doesn't mean you will. My friends, allow me to draw your attention to the elephant in the room. Valentine's Day approaches on heavy hoofbeats. And though we might think of all the reasons why we're going to finally receive our twin flame, and while we might feel all the faith and all the rejoice ahead of time in the receiving of our twin flame or our soulmate, it doesn't mean that we will receive what we want when we want it. It doesn't mean we're going to keep what we want for as long as we'd like to. In fact, it's no way, it will not prevent us from enduring that which we do not wish to experience. Buddha observed that over 26 centuries ago. He called it suffering, and he insists that suffering need not be some great, vulgar, over-the-top event. It can be very, very subtle. And although mind and emotion can influence events and our experience of them. They're not the sole arbiters of our fate. But there are many people who think, no, they are. I'm the all-being, master of time, space, and dimension. Yes, I can feel my way into paradise. I can think my way into getting exactly what I want. Many people feel that way. And what they're really saying is, listen, if I can control my thoughts, if I can control my emotions, I'll get what I want, when I want, for as long as I desire. Not so much. Not really. Folks, Buddha did not invent meditation. Meditation has been around. People have been playing with their brains and their bodies ever since we slogged out of the primordial ooze. Hindu teachers have been telling people to think one thought or feel one emotion, contrive that thought, contrive that emotion. And Buddha did not teach that. Buddha taught that movement is inevitable. Change is a certainty. Our emotions change. Sometimes for the pleasurable, sometimes towards the painful. Our thoughts change. Our memories change. Our fantasies change. Our ability to problem solve change. Our mind is a maelstrom of thoughts. Our body is a cacophony of emotions. Any system of metaphysics that ignores that easily observable phenomena is bound to fail us, ironically, when we need it the most. Any metaphysical system which takes into account the even sense, the ever-changing state of mind and emotion, is more likely to serve us effectively. Belief or faith is an attempt to practice intellectual or emotional rigidity. Just as physicists are able to harness light, and I think the phrase is light amplification through the stimulation of radiation. They call that a laser. Or through the emission of radiation. That's L-A-S-E-R, laser. And yes, a high-powered laser can cut. Folks, the path of trying to use power to focus our will, our intellect, our emotions, is a path of power. But both Lao Tzu, the founder of Taoism, and Gautama, the founder of Buddhism, agree. The path of power is as rigid as a glass or a crystal wine goblet. Drop it and it shatters. There's no resiliency. Faith or belief is either an intellectual or an emotional contrivance, or both, an intellectual and an emotional contrivance. It will not serve us well. So do I believe in dreams? No, I don't believe in belief. I have no trouble with the idea that some dreams could be portentous and some dreams might not. I have no problems with either school of thought. But I do have a problem with the trap of belief. And I counsel you, dear friend, to sidestep this bear trap that will not only take your ankle, it can take your peace, it can take your wisdom, it can take your life. Don't do it. In every sect of every religion, you'll see the majority of enthusiastic participants being fundamentalist. The minority of enthusiastic fundamentalists being liberal. The fundamentalists tend to be rooted in fear, addicted to perfectionistic tendencies. Consequently, they exhibit rigidity, intolerance, and aggression. The opposite of those who choose to be liberal, who choose to be grounded in relaxed desire. I like this, but I'm not sure it's going to happen. I'll try this. I'd like it to work. I'm not sure it'll work. I'll take action, notice results, and use the information from those results to refine my action for the future. That's what we could call the empirical process, or the scientific method. It's based in a liberal, easygoing, relaxed assumption. Does it mean all scientists are liberal? No. There's plenty of chemists, physicists, and biologists who are fundamental and rigid. You don't need to believe in an old man in the sky with a beard and sandals to be a fundamentalist. If you're governed by fear and rigidity and tolerance and aggression, you're a fundamentalist. I know. I've been one. We've all been one. But we can choose to be liberal. We can choose to be easygoing and relaxed in our approach. And that is really what I recommend. In my journey, the most explosive spiritual growth has occurred when I've embraced a liberal point of view and a liberal enthusiasm to question all my sacred cows, to question all my beliefs, to question all my assumptions. Inconvenient? Yeah, sure, you betcha. But it's profoundly effective. And that's the one path trodden by all the great saints, male and female, of every race and every creed. So now that we've discussed the word belief and its cousin faith, let's talk about dreams. Like all things, dreams are interdependent. They are caused by physical and metaphysical stimuli. They are caused by circumstantial, physical, emotional, and intellectual processes. Can they occasionally will a dream tell you specifically what will happen in the future? I have no problem with that. Can a dream tell you what could happen or might happen? I have no problem about that. Could a dream communicate with you literally? It seems like a possibility in the realm of extreme. In the universe where everything's possible, that seems like a possibility. Could dreams communicate with us metaphorically, be highly subject to interpretation and misinterpretation? Of course. Now let's flip the coin. Do dreams have to be a conduit through which some celestial being communicates with us? No. Because if a celestial being exists, and if they're profoundly smart, loving, and powerful, they probably can speak to us directly. Does that mean I believe in celestial beings? Well, folks, I do not believe in belief. That's a possibility that I have no problems with either way. There are those who say that dreams are nothing more than our bodies and brains attempt to sort through files, explore possibilities, explore absurdities, and find solutions. I have no problem with that either. So let's take a pragmatic approach. Did your dream last night fill you with fear? What did it fill you with fear about? We can use our karuna, practices of compassion, to take away the troubles, potential troubles, or present troubles in our life or the lives of others. We can use metta practices to create, give others and ourselves the states and the conditions that we desire for ourselves and for others. We can use the vipassana tools of noticing what we're experiencing intellectually, emotionally, physically, and circumstantially, and letting go of it, smiling at them and letting go of them. And we can combine all three in a wonderful Neapolitan-esque set of exercises. That's very theoretical. Let's bring it down to the specific. If you dreamed someone was going to die, let's pretend it was your mother, then the first thing we do is, if we are racked with fear, we own that fear. In our in-breath, we recognize the fact that we do not wish to feel fear. We have compassion on ourselves. And so in our in-breath, we mentally recite, soothe all fear. As the breath comes in, our attention goes in and we think about our own needs. As the breath goes out, our attention goes out and we consider the needs of others. And guess what? No one wants to feel fear as well. So in the out-breath, we use the phrase, mentally recite the phrase, for each being. In-breath, selfish. Out-breath, universal compassion. In-breath, soothe all fear. Out-breath, for each being. Will that change the world? It may not. But at the very least, it'll help you leverage the experience of fear into the experience, into the practice, into the intention, into the habit, into the momentum of universal compassion. When our mind wanders, and it will, we recognize it wandering, we mentally recite, grin at this, on the out-breath, relaxing. This is all done silently. Having dealt with our fear, we now deal with a mother's health. Perhaps now, instead of practicing compassion, we can practice love, and give her what she requires. Perhaps we can give her health. Profound health on the in-breath, for each bring on the out-breath. You may or may not be able to visualize her clearly. Maybe just visualize the first initial of her first name. Whatever works best for you in the moment. Focus it on her on the in-breath. Profound health. And on the out-breath, focus on the infinity of living beings for each being. And that way we're taking our selfish desire that our mom be healthy and turn it into the universal act of love. How? How can desiring our mother to be healthy be selfish? The late teacher of the current Dalai Lama used to say, we feel strong sentiment towards someone. It's because on some level we feel that they are our possession. Noel Brooks used to say, my apartment is fantastic, all the rest can go to hell. Of course, I'm paraphrasing. So we take that sentimental, limited concern for one individual, and we explode that into universal love, universal love. Profound health for each being. And when our mind wanders, and it will, grin at this, relaxing. And it's a dance. We go back and forth. We do not practice rigidly in Buddhism. We practice in a very flexible way, respectful and responsive to the needs of our mind, body, and circumstance, and emotions as they present themselves. Mindful that whenever something changes, either a need changes, or a thought changes, or an emotion changes, or a sensation changes, or circumstance changes, we always dabble with the vipassana for coming back either to shamatas or samadhis, karuna, or metta, love, or compassion. There's a wonderful saying that's popularized by the Dalai Lama, and of course I'm going to paraphrase it. Why worry? If something cannot, if a fear, if a situation that you dread cannot be prevented, worrying will not make it better. If a situation that you dread can be prevented, worrying is just a waste of time and resources and prevents you from actually taking action. Rather than being a slave to our fear, let's use our fear to feed our universal compassion. Rather than being a slave to our greed, let's use our greed to serve our universal love for all beings. Whatever we dread, other people dread. Whatever we want, other people want. Maybe not specifically, but generally. I love fresh vegetable juices. Not everyone in the whole universe might like fresh vegetable juices, but they do need food and drink. So if you generalize it out far enough, you'll find a common denominator that meets the needs of all living beings. Not everyone might like carrot juice, but everyone requires sustenance or wealth. There's another wonderful word, a wealth of sustenance, a wealth of food, a wealth of drink, a wealth of shelter, a wealth of clothing, a wealth of meaningful look and work and fulfilling relationships. So, the question is not, was your scary, scary dream your fate? The question is, how do you feel about it? How can you use what you feel about it to profit spiritually? What circumstances does it point to? If they're dreadful circumstances, use it to feed your universal compassion. If there are pleasurable circumstances, use it to feed your universal love. And so the trick is to use whatever befalls us, be it pleasure or be it pain, to advance upon enlightenment's path. That's the secret of it all. Any dullard can be happy when life is going his way. It takes a real saint to find peace and joy in the midst of a nightmare. Be that nightmare literal or metaphoric. And I kid you not, the more comfortable you become with concentration, mindfulness, and contemplation, with love, awareness, smiling, and relaxing, the more be able to bring them into all areas of your life, when you're sitting, when you're walking, when you're at home, when you're at the market, when you're at work, when you're in pain, when you're making love, even while you sleep. When we read the biographies of the Kagyu masters, we see that most of them practiced dream yoga in a light sleep. For instance, if you sleep all night, in the morning you get up to go pee, and then you come back to bed. You know that very, very light sleep where you're in and out? That's a great time to watch your dreams and bring them into the path. You won't be able to do it if you haven't been meditating at least twice a day every day. And if twice every morning, every evening you meditate for 10 minutes, or 20 minutes, or 40 minutes, or 60 minutes, or 90 minutes, or 120 minutes, 150 minutes, or 180 minutes. If that's the case, you do it for weeks and months and years. It becomes an effortless habit. And you'll be able to meditate in your hypnagogic sleep, in your very, very light sleep. Now, some people think, hey man, if I lose consciousness, that's unspiritual. And the answer is, no, not so much. Consider an umbrella. Sometimes you'll go outside and use an umbrella and open it all the way up and lock into position. It does a very good job of keeping a high percentage of the water off our head and shoulders. When we come inside, we really can't bring an open umbrella in the house without knocking stuff over and making a mess. So we close the umbrella halfway and we hang it in the shower, usually by the shower rack, let it drip dry. When it's time, but you can't restore it that way. Even when it's dry, you have to close it completely and tightly with a little strap. And then we put it in the closet. The mind is the same way. When we fall asleep, we fall into the swoon of thoughtlessness. We then experience a dream state, and then we wake up. And that cycle's repeated several times a night, every night. Falling into a thoughtless swoon is not a spiritual feeling. It's simply how our brains are designed. And there are some who say that correlates to the experience of the Dharmakaya. Experiencing a absurd dreamscape where there's very little logic and reason. It's not a spiritual feeling. It's the way the mind is designed. And some people say that corresponds to the Sambhomakaya. Waking up from dreams, being completely lucid, doesn't mean you're a bad sleeper. It just means the way that's how our brains are designed. And I say that corresponds to the Nirmanakaya. It's always a mistake to denigrate a natural process, be it intellectual, emotional, physical, or circumstantial. It's much better to find a way to incorporate it into the spiritual path. The thoughtlessness of the swoon. There are times when in our meditation, we'll meditate for longer and longer periods, whether it be 10, 20, 30, 40, 60, 80, 90 minutes. When during the Grunat relaxing phase, we feel such an intense surge of bliss. All thought is suspended and rendered impossible for a few number of seconds or even minutes. That's not a feeling. That's not nirvana. That's just a natural process. When that process occurs, by bringing it into the path of love and mentally reciting profound bliss for each being, it's feeding our path, and that's good. When we're sitting in meditation, and let's pretend we're sending healing towards one person, or mom, for example, and all these different people come somersaulting through our minds. It's a mistake to fight that with rigidity. Our first task is to grin at it, and then to relax. Notice which individual is grabbing your lapels, metaphorically speaking, and work with them. Be they real or imagined? Or your reaction to them, whether it's their need for wisdom or your need for peace. Bring that into the path of compassion and love. Work with whatever comes up. Just as at night we wake up from our dreams, there's times in meditation where there aren't people somersaulting through our minds, and we have great clarity. It's just we're focusing on that one person. On the in-breath, we're sending them blessings. On the in-breath, on the out-breath, we're sending those blessings to the entire universe and all of its denizens. And that clarity is no better or worse than the spontaneity, which is no better or worse than the absence of thought. Lives have been squandered in the chasing of mental states. Don't do that. Make use of whatever mental, emotional, physical, or circumstantial state presents itself. Any shithead can be happy winning the lottery, having a six-pack abs, and the lover of his dreams or her dreams. And there's nothing wrong with those things happening. There's nothing wrong with taking actions to invite those things into your life. But let's not have our spiritual practice, our peace, our love, our joy, and our wisdom dependent upon everything being perfect all the time. My friends, I teach classes all the time, in person and over Skype. And technically speaking, nothing goes perfect ever. There's always a snafu. That's just how it works. If we lose our shit with less than satisfactory things, then that is a poor commentary on both the path we trod and our practice of it. Someone once said to me, why don't you worship me instead of the Buddhists? Why don't you make me your personal advisors instead of your spiritual guide? Because I'm so awesome. The answer was, well, quite frankly, you're not so awesome. And your outbursts of rage and your fits of hubris are an indictment upon the spiritual path and your practice of it. Consequently, since I don't want to live the way you do, I'm not going to walk the way you walk on the path that you've chosen. Needless to say, that individual was not pleased with my diatribe. So let's make the most of whatever life throws at us, whether we're awake, asleep, or dreaming. Whether we're sitting or walking at home, the market, or at work, whatever we're doing, let's be aware of what we're experiencing and bring it into the path of both compassion, love, mindfulness, and letting go. My friends, I thank you for your time and your kind attention. If you enjoyed this, you're welcome to check out all my videos. There's a lot of them. If you'd like to attend a live class, you can, either in person or over a Skype simulcast. To register for the next series of classes that begins on Thursday the 6th of March, use the lamajigme.com link below. Use the YouTube video. I'll do my best to answer it in another video. If not immediately, then eventually.
If you'd like to simply send me a cyber hug, you're welcome to do so either below or using the Facebook link on my fan page. May you and yours be healthy and happy. Om Mani Padme. Bye-bye.